Hey there, everyone. My name is Ashley G. Mercurio of Your Reading Tutor LLC, and I'm here today to talk to you about why graphic novels are great. And I love talking about graphic novels, so I can't wait to get started. So, I want to share a little bit with you about me so you know sort of where I'm coming from and my experience in education. So I started out in a traditional classroom setting. I decided to come home when I started my family, and then really missed teaching and decided to go back to teaching online. I started out teaching for VIP Kid, where I was teaching English to students in China, and quickly discovered that I really wanted to have my own business so I could have even more say over the kinds of curriculum that I was teaching. So I started my own private online tutoring business called Your Reading Tutor, and I have grown it into a full time income and a full time business that offer a lot of different things. And I even am the host of the Reading Project podcast. A lot of great, super short, helpful episodes there. So make sure you check it out. So I offer one-on-one tutoring, virtual summer camps, homeschool support, digital products. I just launched a Teachers Pay Teacher store this year. I do literacy assessments for public schoolers and homeschoolers that sometimes those students then move into tutoring, but not always. And I do speaking engagements just like this, where I help empower families and caregivers just like yourself to helping your children develop a love of reading. Okay, so graphic novels, let's dive in. They're a type of book that uses both words and images to tell the story. That's the definition in its simplest form. But let's dive a little deeper into that. So, traditionally, or what you might even be thinking of, is a comic book. And that's a more cartoon style that you might find in the newspaper, right? Or like a magazine. But graphic novels are much more robust version of this. They are longer, more complex. They have a more developed storyline. They can include more serious content, and they can be written for a range of readers and abilities, from young students all the way up to adults. So young students, school age, young adults, you can find graphic novels for all those ages. So it's really important to make sure that when you're checking out a graphic novel, don't assume it's for kids just because it's a graphic novel. You can find them in the you can find them in the older, like young adult section as well as the adult section. So make sure you check that out first. Often, graphic novels give more character development and background stories, and they are published like a novel, not like a magazine or newspaper. So, I wanted to take some time to familiarize you with more about graphic novels, some of the vocabulary that go with it, so that if your child is really into graphic novels, you understand the value of them, why they're great for readers, why they totally count as reading, and all of the skills that they're learning. And if they happen to ask you to read it with them, then you'll know about the different parts of the graphic novel as well. So, graphic novels are written within panels, and you can see an example of a panel here. And often, I hear from families they don't understand how to read a graphic novel. So, when we are reading the page, we are reading in order from left to right and from top to bottom. All right. And these panels can come in different shapes and sizes, different layouts. I've seen some really cool designs. I've even seen some graphic novels that have panels on one page and then just regular text on another page. I wanted to show you another picture of panels with numbers so you can see how they're read. I know on the last one I said left to right, top to bottom, but I think it's really helpful to actually see these numbers. So if the page looked like this, you would read this top panel first, right? Because we always go top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom. So this one, then we're moving over here to the left, reading this whole section, right? Because this is one panel. And then move over to 3 and then down to 4. And here's another example of a possible, page in a graphic novel. 1, then over to 2, then down before we get to the bottom is the last one. So I hope that helps to show you a little bit about like how to understand the pages and how to navigate reading them. Another thing you're going to find in a graphic novel would be a narration box and a speech bubble. The narration box is typically a rectangular box at the top or bottom of a panel, and that includes more of the narrator's point of view, the narrator's dialogue that speaks directly to the reader. And then your speech bubbles are that's the characters dialogue, right? What the characters are saying. And there are different kinds of speech bubbles. So you can find ones that are zigzaggy around the edge. We think of those as screen bubbles, and this might show that the character is yelling. These are also used for radio, TV, or other kinds of electronic sounds. This one, that's more like a cloud, right? We call those thought bubbles. And they have the rounded edges to show the character's thinking or dreaming about something. I love this one, the icicle bubble. I haven't seen this one as much in children's graphic novels, but it's really fun to show that the character, is really unhappy, right? A hostile or icy tone. And then sometimes bubbles are just regular, like speaker bubbles, like this one. You probably see this one the most. But sometimes they change the colors of them to convey a certain mood or emotion from the character. Okay, another really fun feature in graphic novels are onomatopoeia words. I think onomatopoeias are so fun for kids, and you can see some all around the screen right now. And there's a definition there, and I'm gonna try to put it in in another way too. It's kind of a, how do we explain these words? Well, onomatopoeias are words that kind of sound like the sound that word makes. And so when you say the word like splash, splash, right? You think of the last time you heard something splash in water, right? It kind of has that same sound, right? Or bang. It's like a loud noise. So when you say the word, it kind of sounds like that word's sound. I hope that makes sense. But onomatopoeias are really fun. It's a fun word to teach your kids because it's a fun word to say and spell. So now that we're really getting into a full understanding of graphic novels, I really want to emphasize that they are the perfect blend of words and pictures to create an immersive reading experience like nothing else. And kids love them, I think, because of this, right? They're totally accessible to children. They're not overwhelming because they don't have tons of books or tons of words on them. Excuse me, words on each page. So another reason, or here are 5 reasons why I love graphic novels, why I think they are great for kids to read. They totally count as reading. And if your kids are into it, you should just let them loose on the graphic novels. There's something for everyone. So if your kiddo is a really fast reader when it's just text, graphic novels can slow them down because they have to pause to take in the images. Because with a graphic novel, you're combining the images with the text to get comprehension. So you need both. On the other hand, if you have a reader who is a little bit more struggling, a slower reader, they're going to get excited by being able to finish a book. It's going to be easier for them to finish this graphic novel. Graphic novels are fun and engaging. The mix of pictures and words is just exciting, easy to follow. There are all kinds of different literacy skills that they're practicing, increasing their vocabulary, making inferences, lots of great skills. Builds their critical thinking skills, problem solving, their sequencing, right? Because they're following the story along the panels. And of course, graphic novels can spark imagination. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how reading graphic novels can also lead to more writing and art. Okay, so I had to sneak in a little slide in here about high-low books because often you can find graphic novels that are considered a high-low book, and then there are other kinds of high-low books that also are not in graphic novel format. But they support struggling readers because they tend to be a high interest topic, but at a lower readability. So if you have a student who's very excited about history or science, and it is hard to find books at their reading level, these kinds of graphic novels can really help you out. So definitely be on the lookout for those. All right, graphic novels come in all different genres, and you can find them, fiction, nonfiction. And I want to show you a few of those today, give you some great examples. So I recently visited a library here in South Carolina that has a really big graphic novel selection, and I was able to pull some off the shelves and check them out. If you have an art loving kiddo, you should definitely check out this one, Doodleville. I had never seen this before until I found it in the library, and it's really cute. Okay, first up, we've got science comics. So I just wanted to kind of zoom in and show you some of the different topics that you can find in the science comics series. So if you got a science loving kiddo, definitely you're going to want to check these out. Dinosaurs, plagues, sharks, trees, cars, rockets, wild weather, robotics, so many different things. These are great. And you can see on the shelf here, this is the like sciencey section that I took a photograph in the library, versus over here, this is just the science comics, but you can see there's some other ones in here too, Maker Comics, which we're going to talk about more in a little bit. And I'm not sure this one, Scientist. So there's all kinds of different ones, but I know this series has a lot. Okay, and then just to zoom in on another possible nonfiction series that your kiddos might really love in graphic novel form, um, is this Show Me History series. And so this is the picture I took at the library. And then also I zoomed in on a couple of the different topics so you can see. And you can see on the side here, there's some that are not pictured, like Walt Disney, Neil Armstrong, Helen Keller. So lots of great historical figures. And again, these are graphic novels. So they're going to be much more accessible for readers. And then also for your higher readers, they're going to be fun to read. It's another way to access history and science. If they love graphic novels, it's going to make it more accessible for them. And you can see there's some other ones tucked in here that I didn't know as much. This one looks kind of interesting, Hazardous Tales. I'm not sure about that one, but lots and lots of graphic novels. So like if your library in your town or neighboring town does not have a very large graphic novel collection, but you think your kiddo would be super interested in Show Me History series, like I encourage you to ask them to like make an effort to grow the graphic novel selection, because they've been gaining more, more and more momentum and more popularity with students. And I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. So here are my top 5 graphic novels to check out for elementary age students. I think if you have a student who likes graphic novels, you've probably seen Dogman floating around your house or the library already. Super popular. It's a series. There's tons of books, I think 15 maybe. And then there's also the Cat Kid, I think it is like a spinoff. It's another series that kids usually like if they like that one. Then I also recently, I get the Week Junior. It's like a fun magazine for kids. And in there, they recommended this Mexikid one by Pedro Martin. So I'm going to be looking to check that out this summer. If you have a kiddo who has liked being read to, like Magic Treehouse, they love that series. The graphic novels are great. Again, if your student is just getting going with chapter books and they're not ready for the full Magic Treehouse book, they might be able to handle the Magic Treehouse graphic novel. And they only started creating these not too long ago. So I would say there's maybe 3 or 4 right now that you can get in graphic novel format, which is awesome. And then this series, the High-Low series, this is not high-low like I mentioned before, not like high-low, but this character in the book who comes from space, I believe, his name is High-Low. And this is the series that really got my son hooked on graphic novels. And then, of course, the science comics are here. Here are my top 5 nonfiction graphic novels to check out. And you'll see this science comics is showing up on all my lists. So I think they're really great. I think a lot of kids will be super into them. So I definitely encourage you to check them out. Also, these top 2, Who Was and I Survived, those are series, chapter book series already, right? In regular text format. Your kiddos might already be interested in those, but maybe the content is a little bit difficult for them to read. Check out the graphic novel option, right? And then your kids are reading similar books to their peers and their classmates, but in a way that's more accessible for them, and they can feel really good and positive about moving through these books. And then the Show Me History series. And then I mentioned I was going to talk about Maker Comics again. We recently discovered these in our library, and there are a bunch of different Maker Comics books. I'm actually going to do a quick search here and see if I can tell you some more of the series. I think the one picture there is Bake Like a Pro. So there is Bake Like a Pro, Design a Game, Draw a Comic, Build a Robot, Survive the Great Outdoors. So there's a whole bunch of different Maker Comics, and I really like them because they call it the ultimate DIY guide. So you get some storyline from the comic, but then you're also learning about whatever the topic is, if it's baking, if it's robotics or science. So they'll teach you, like in the baking one, you actually are learning about like how to make banana bread, chocolate chip cookies, pizza dough, biscuits, and there's the recipes in there. But you're also following along with the storyline of a character. And they're just really fun. So definitely check those out. Okay. And then next up is 5 graphic novels for teens and tweens. So a lot of the ones I've showed you so far, I feel like are really elementary aged graphic novels. And I haven't shown you very many for like really young readers, but definitely ask your librarian if they have suggestions for graphic novels for the really younger readers. I know they're coming out with more and more all the time. And I'm sure there's even more options available now. But for your older kiddos, the Last Kids on Earth series is really fun. If they're into Minecraft or Pokemon or any different of the video games, there's a lot of graphic novels with video game themes. So it's definitely worth checking those out as well. Okay, so I mentioned that graphic novels can spark your imagination and your creativity. And what I have seen with my students and my kids at home is that reading graphic novels can lead to writing and illustrating their own stories and graphic novels. So we're talking about one tool, right? A graphic novel that is encouraging and motivating your reluctant readers and writers to do more reading and writing. And art, if they're drawing, that is building stamina of holding the pencil and building up their grip in their arm to increase their ability to write and get their ideas down. They're practicing sequencing as they're writing their own comic book or their own graphic novel, and being able to tell their story and make it fun and use those like wow and kabam, the onomatopoeia words. Students love it because it's not as much pressure, right? There's not as many rules, I guess. Like, you still have to tell your story and it has to be clear, but your sentences can be shorter and you portray a lot through the combination, you convey a lot through the combination of words and pictures. So that's pretty exciting to see. Ultimately, there's power in choice. And I tell this to all of my clients that I work with, and I'll repeat it over and over again. But the most powerful way to engage your reluctant reader is to give them a choice in what they're reading. And that gives them ownership over their own learning and reading. So even if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if it counts as reading, it does, especially at home, right? Your student is probably having to read a lot of things that they don't love. It's not their first choice. They're working super hard in school. So at home, be their safe space and let them choose what they want to read. And even if it is graphic novels, just let them run with it because reading is reading and it totally counts. All right. If you have enjoyed today's session, I would love to hear from you. Remember, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, and you could also have a website, yourreadingtutor.com, which I'll show you again at the end. But if you want to work with me more, I do have openings available for one-on-one tutoring, which is nothing like what you experienced when you were doing virtual learning. It's totally different. It's a highly engaging online platform called Koala Go. It's super fun. Kids love it. I also offer a virtual summer camp, literacy assessments that can help you find the specific gaps your child might have in their learning. And then I can give you a plan for targeting those gaps to help them really reach their potential. And as I mentioned before, I do offer digital products. My Teachers Pay Teachers store right now is really focused on word games and ways to make practicing reading more fun and more exciting. So definitely check it out. I have a free summer sentence fluency product in there. I also have a low cost product that is practicing sentences. They're all around like technology and gaming. And coming soon, I'm going to have some Mad Libs in the store this summer. I just want to highlight 2 small group camps I'm offering this summer, the book versus the movie, and we are really focusing on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and the movie Wonka, and also a summer journal camp. So I still have space available, and I would love to have you. These are both virtual, done again in that online platform. Though I will send you a copy of the book if you are in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or I'll send you a journal if you join the journal summer camp. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and I hope that you feel more encouraged and empowered to help your child with their love of graphic novels and to support them in reading more of them and encouraging your library to get even more of them on the shelf. If you want to keep in touch, you can follow me on social media, join my email list. There's my website. There's my email. And don't forget to check out my podcast, The Reading Project Podcast. All right, everyone, have a great summer and keep reading all of those graphic novels.